Anti-racism, to me, means that the decisions that we make, how we see the world, the stories we tell, the narratives that we live by, is not determined by somebody's race, unless it's the human race. So a lot of the outcomes, negative outcomes that we see, who has, who doesn't have, a lot of these things are determined by groups that are racialized. So for me, it's a world that isn't founded on that basis. I'm thinking about at what point I thought of myself as an activist. Of course, activism comes in many shapes and forms. You can be a writer, trying to make change with your pen. You can be somebody in the street turning up to protests, or both. You could be somebody making art. And in my case, it's somebody who studies issues and brings people together to exchange knowledge and ideas and organize for change. So that's my way of being an activist, bringing people together, the right people together in the right circumstances so that we can collaborate for change. There isn't one particular moment that I think this is the moment that means we should all be doing more. It's something that I've always thought, if everybody does a little, nobody has to do a lot. And I think that anti-racism and social change is, if you think of it as a race, it's a marathon, and it needs to be run as a relay. Otherwise, people get burnt out, especially people who take a lot of things on their shoulders. A lot of the work that needs to be done, which is across so many domains, we need to be in every single corner, being activists in whatever our role is, which could be even, serving coffee in a coffee shop. There are ways to be an activist just as part of your life. But I think that some of the core roles in activism are largely not available. Who's going to employ you to hack the system and disrupt? It's not really a job out there. So often these roles are things that people just have to take up and do alongside whatever else they're doing. And so I think that that's one of the things that we need to think about in our agenda for change, is how we make sure that the roles that we know are not paid for, and certainly not consistently, how do we as a collective community ensure that those activists who really put themselves on the front line day in, day out, and sometimes for the whole of their adult lives, how do we make sure that they've got livelihoods between us? I think it's something that we need to take on board as a responsibility collectively, as a form of philanthropy, so that they can do the work they need to do without being in fear of being sacked from their jobs, or being blacklisted from certain kinds of roles or places. We need to make sure that everybody has a livelihood in their pursuit of social change. Well, one of the questions that we asked a couple of years ago was to imagine it's 2030 and Birmingham is officially the best city for Black children to grow up in. And we asked people to imagine, don't be restricted by current realities, think in terms of possibility. And we got amazing ideas from people, lots of different ideas. It included things around nature, environment, jobs, happiness, safety, so many things. And for me, it's all of those things. But a key indicator for me would be things like education outcomes or health outcomes are no longer predictable based on race. At the moment, we can already imagine that certain groups have worse outcomes in certain areas, more likely to be in prison, more likely to be arrested, more likely to have lower outcomes in terms of health and things like that. For me, when Birmingham is an anti-racist city, we will not be able to predict based on race negative outcomes.
Beyond racism, racism and beyond, anti-racism has to be the norm. Let's build a city where everyone belongs. Beyond racism, racism and beyond, anti-racism has to be the norm. A world of understanding, that's what we crave. From every corner, every land, a tapestry woven by every hand. Harmonious call, we rise and stand.